Minister Eugene Nagbe, thank you very much for taking time out to talk to us.
Well, thanks too for the opportunity.
Well, you are the Minister of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism. And you've been labeled as the man that will transform your ministry, which is Minister of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism, from the winds of propaganda.
Well, for Liberia, we really wouldn't like to use the word propaganda, but to focus on projecting a positive image of our country and of the activities of the government, but mostly about the country itself. We have a very beautiful country, pristine beaches, lush forests, a great biodiverse ecology, and all of these things have not been highlighted as some of the positive aspects of our country.
We will come to that. We will come to that.
So we want to focus on the positive
of course we will. Absolutely.
That is my job to, to promote Liberia.
And I appreciate that. But we must not also forget that being a Minister of Information, you are the mouthpiece of the government to the media and to the people as well. And it's very important that you're very effective in your role.
Definitely. And in view of our current circumstances, it's even more important, that we articulate in a proper manner the objectives of the government, but also should not forget, and we don't ever forget, the objectives of the people of Liberia and their aspirations. So my job is not just to promote the activities of the government, but also to inform about the desires and the aspirations of the people who have been governed.
What is it about Liberia and the people of Liberia that, looking at the history of what the country has been through, that they've been able to stand firm? What is it about Liberians?
Well, you have to look at our history. We have always been independent even prior to 1847 when we officially gained our independence. Since the 1700s up to the 1800s, Liberians have been independent people. We have always had to take our burdens ourselves. We were never colonized by any country. Yes, there were invasions here and there were fighting amongst tribes, but we've always been standing on our own. So that resilience as a country has been built and ingrained in our national psyche over the years. So even when we've had troubles, like in the case of our long years of civil war, we again emerged resilient and we came out of those events. When we had Ebola, we had to come together again as a resilient country and resilient people and rebuild and come back together. So Liberians have an inbuilt resilient streak that will come out whenever that's needed.
Now, you've touched on the government borrowing, and a lot of people have been quite critical with regards to the way in which the current administration is borrowing. Right now, within the space of 5 months, the government has borrowed beyond $1 billion. And it's caused a lot of unrest within the country.
No, it's not unrest. There are two categories of people. There are those who believe our country should remain as it is. We've been like that since about over 170 years. Within a few months, I wouldn't be able to go about 100 miles or 70 miles out of Monrovia in any direction because the roads will become impassable, meaning that about 70% of our country will now have access to the capital and will now have access to markets because of the deplorable condition. And deplorable might be an understatement. There's almost so much degradation of the road infrastructure that it is astounding. So we have to take some bold steps. And the president is not borrowing recklessly. These are deliberate financing mechanisms that we have utilized.
At the rate the government is borrowing, but is it sustainable?
This is a sustainable program because our approach is that once we do these borrowings, which are at very concessional rates, one of the loans, the repayment terms are very, very flexible. There will be a grace period of 7 years before we start paying on the interest for another 7 years. So then we have about 15 years before we actually start repaying the loan. Why is this key? We have utilized to finance this loan Euro bonds, and that will become redeemable in 15 years. So we are doing this because by the time we get to 15 years, the investment we have begun to reap fruits, and we have begun to show economic benefits. So it's not a loan that is being recklessly acquired. We have taken deliberate steps, and we have the data to show that within 15 years, if we can fix our road, which has been determined as a major constraint to economic expansion, if we can remove that constraint, then we have the ability to expand the economy. And once the economy expands, our GDP also will expand, and then the debt repayment scheme will be sustainable.
I think many people's worry is the fact that the amount that has been borrowed. We've seen other parts across Africa where infrastructure or projects have been inflated.
Well, no, but if you look at the details of the loans and the details of the projects that the loans are supposed to address. Take, for example, the construction of roads.
Yeah.
Okay, one of the key corridors between Basso County, which is our Buchanan City, which is our second largest, to the southeastern extreme of our country in Maryland County.
Yeah.
If you calculate it per kilometer, and also calculate the bridges and the interventions that are needed on that road, if you make a calculation, you'll find that we are getting value for money.
There's a big population of Liberians in the diaspora. What role can the diasporans play in the development of the nation?
Well, we've been engaging diaspora and Liberians because already, if you look at inward remittances, monies that come into our economy, hard-earned monies from those people abroad, make up a significant slice of the inward remittances of the country. They already do that, but we have a peculiar situation where, as a Liberian, you travel out, say because of necessity, you become a British citizen. It means you automatically, have lost your Liberian citizenship. So the president, as one of his first proposals, was to address that, to say, look, once a Liberian, always a Liberian if you want, So we have a proposal on the table now before Parliament for dual citizenship. That will give a lot of leeway to Liberians in the diaspora to come back and contribute or remain wherever they are and contribute as citizens, because you cannot, we have had, like I mentioned to you, a capacity situation in the country, a sort of brain drain as a result of the war. We have a lot of Liberians in the diaspora, doctors, teachers, scientists. So why don't we tap on that great resource?